Hey there, welcome back. This is episode 7 of the series I'm making on building a WordPress website from scratch using the Cadence theme and the Gutenberg builder. So in the previous episodes, we did a whole bunch of things that were related to the design of the website. And at this stage now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean up a little bit of the design stuff in this episode. And I'm going to focus more on dealing with I'm going to start dealing with the refinement of the website. So in other words, now I want to start putting things into position that actually mean something instead of having all this dummy data lying around. So let's get into that and we'll take it from there. Right, so the last time I spoke about this gap that was existing over there, and I've now fixed that in the live website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I did that. And that is really done in the Customize menu. I did find another way of doing it, but I think I'm going to just keep it as simple as I possibly can. So in the Customize menu, under the Widgets section, we have a sidebar. And in that sidebar, I have now placed a custom HTML widget. And if you have a look in that widget, you'll see that all I've got in there is this little bit of HTML, which is basically an ampersand, NBSP, and then a semicolon. The NBSP stands for non-breaking space. So when you put that in there, it will basically create a bit of a blank space over there that you won't really see. So let's take it out and I'll show you exactly what that does. So there we go. As you can see, that sidebar first widget is now really right up against the top of that banner image, which I don't like. So all I did was I went in here, I added a widget, I looked for custom HTML. We don't want to give this a title. And I just typed it in there. And NBSP : done. It's now at the bottom here, so I've got to drag it to the top, and there we have it. To get the other part of this lining up with it, because it didn't quite line up at first, let's just publish that. So to get that to line up with, what I did was I went into the edit page option here, and once this thing has loaded, we'll see what's going on. There is now a section over here where you can add a block. Oops. So we've got a block over here already. Now I'm just trying to get this thing to select. This is one of the things I really don't like about Gutenberg, is that you have to kind of really know what's going on before it'll work anything. Okay, so here we go. I have this blank block here. So it's basically not even a block, it's just a row layout. But in the row layout, you have the option of changing the padding. So all I did was I decreased the padding to 15 pixels on the top and the bottom. And what that did was it brought this part of the website in line with the sidebar. So if we have a look at that now under preview, let's just preview this in a new tab. You'll see that there they are, pretty much in line with one another. So I'm fairly happy with that. That's the design that I've been going for. Okay, moving on to the next thing. So the other thing that I did was I had this epochs menu over here as well. Now the reason for that is if I don't have any items on that part of the header, this third part of the header won't appear at all. So what I did was I just put in a secondary menu there, which is what these 4 items are. And if we look at that secondary menu by going into Customize, click on the header, and if we move the mouse over there, we've got that little pencil. I click on that, and it asks me to select what menu I want in there. Also down at the bottom, you'll see that we have secondary navigation here. When I first did this, I noticed in the last episode that I actually didn't have it in the right position. It was over on the left-hand side here, and to change that was really straightforward. On the bottom row, you've got some layout options. There's standard, which will keep it in line with the width of the website. Then you've got full width, which will then move it across to the left-hand side, or contained, which then brings the entire line into line with the rest of the website. So I just want it to be standard, and quite happy with that. So now looking at this from a publisher's perspective, so I'm now no longer looking at this from a design perspective. What I want to do is make sense of how I'm going to present my writing, how I'm going to write my memoir, and how I'm going to divide it up. So I've already started writing the memoir, and the start of my memoir is basically dealing with a period of my life related to my military service. So I have a thing here called Army. Then I have a section called Work Life and the 1980s and the 1970s. So what I want to do now is I've actually made some notes, and I've decided that what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide the content of this website up into 5 major categories. And those will be the 1970s, the 1980s, the 90s, my Army life, and then my work life. So what we've got here is we've got epochs, which is the same thing, and this is pretty much the dummy information. I've changed the detail on a couple of these things. And if you look down in the bottom right hand corner, I can't really show you that because if I move my mouse, sorry, the bottom left hand corner, you'll see what the linking is actually doing there. And that dessert is going to be, that's a category, that's another category, and that's another category there. So my decision has basically boiled down to those 5 basic categories of my life that I will split the content up into. So I'm going to keep them up here in a second. I might just get rid of this over here. I don't know. It's not harmful to have them in 2 different places, but at least, if somebody goes into a specific post, they will always have that menu up at the top. So that's quite a nice thing to have. I'm not sure why there's this massive gap over here. This theme, like I say, is a little bit odd, but we'll get, oh, there we go. Something was still loading in the background. It's the featured image. Okay, so that will disappear, but I will get into the design elements of that once I'm done with sorting out the website, so that I have a clear roadmap of what I want to design and how it needs to all fit together. Okay, so let's get started with actually creating these categories. And to create the categories, all we have to do is go into the dashboard, and under the post section, you'll see that there's an option there for categories. And at the moment, I've changed 2 of them, and there are still some other ones here: dessert, entree, and Italian. So the 1970s category is fine. The 1980s is fine. I've got to now edit this one. So I could delete it and then recreate another one. So let's just edit it quickly. So I'm going to click on the quick edit, and I'm going to call it 1990 apostrophe S and 1990S. So the slug is what appears in the URL. So you can't use an apostrophe in a URL. So we'll update that category. Entree, we will change that to Army. Update that category. Italian is going to be work life. And update the category. So now we have those 5 categories there. We have this one, which is uncategorized. You can't get rid of that. If you forget to assign a blog post into any category, it will fall into uncategorized automatically. But what we can do is we can tell the menu what to do and what not to do. So if we now go to our menus, and that appears under appearance over there, you'll see that my current epoch menu is made up of categories, but they're not all correct. Actually, hang on, they're fine. My apologies. So there are those categories, and if I want to add the missing one now, which was the 1990s, all I have to do is click on that one, add it to the menu, drag it to the right position, and click on Save Menu. Now if we go to the website itself, you'll see that they're all there. So there's that category, and so on and so on. You'll notice that the epochs is automatically updated as well. So that's pretty cool. Okay, I'm not going to waffle on too much in this lesson. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to do. Just clean that up. In the next episode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start finalizing the content of the pages. So I'm going to take out this, I'm going to adjust this about page. I will make a decision on whether or not I want contact details in the menu. I'm thinking that I will probably end up putting them in the footer. And so I'll have to have a page that would link to those contact details. It's just going to be an email address, so it doesn't really need an entire page. This is a really basic and simple website. I would say that we would probably wrap up, and I would want to make this website live within the next 2 episodes. So the next one is probably going to be quite important, and I would say stick around for that one. If you haven't already watched the rest of the episodes, please go check them out, and I will catch you in the next one. Adios.